Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, and while we normally focus primarily on St. Petersburg, today we're going to expand a little bit, hop onto the map, and I'm going to give you just kind of an overview for all of Pinellas County. A lot of times when people are thinking about St. Pete, they're thinking about our entire peninsula anyways, so today I'm going to shed some light not just on St. Pete, but some of the other surrounding cities in Pinellas County. And if we haven't met yet, welcome. My name is Jeffrey Clark. I'm the broker owner and team lead for Clark Realty, and we are a top performing brokerage here in St. Petersburg, Florida, where last year we helped over 40 families buy, sell, or move into the Sunshine City, and we ended in the top 2%. So if we can ever be of assistance to you in your move to St. Petersburg, just reach out. But without further ado, let's hop onto the map and let's start talking about Pinellas County and some of these wonderful cities we have here. Okay, so here we are on the map, and you can see outlined with this red dot, this is Pinellas County, and where my little blue dot is here with me at my office is St. Petersburg. So Pinellas County kind of takes up this entire peninsula as well as this little north arm. And to begin, let me just give you a good understanding of the county. So Pinellas County is kind of a sun-soaked peninsula. It's between the Tampa Bay and the Gulf, and it's home to diverse communities, stunning beaches, and a really rich cultural scene. And while we begin here on the map, let me just give you a good understanding of what it's like in Pinellas County for those of you who may be coming from out of the area. First off, here we are located on the west coast of Florida. It's a really beautiful area, and we're nestled right between Tampa Bay and the Gulf over here. It's home to a lot of very diverse communities. There's plenty of stunning beaches, and there's a really rich cultural scene here, a lot of emphasis on outdoor activities and arts. It really offers a unique blend of lifestyles, and today we're going to explore some of those various areas that make up the county and highlight everything you need to know about living there. And first off, let's start here where my little blue dot is in St. Petersburg, Florida. So let me highlight just St. Pete for you so you can see where the city limits are. So here is St. Petersburg, Florida, outlined by this red line. You can see it kind of makes up the eastern portion of our peninsula here with Pinellas County. Okay, and since we usually talk about St. Pete on this channel, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I will give you a quick overview of the city. If you do want to hear more, definitely check out some of our other videos because we do pretty deep dives on this channel. We are based in St. Petersburg and love St. Petersburg. This video is more about the county as a whole and some of the other cities, but I will shed a little bit of light and give you a little bit of detail. The first thing about St. Petersburg is it is known as the Sunshine City. St. Pete boasts an extremely lively art scene, a lot of waterfront parks, and an extremely, how would you say, poppin', definitely rejuvenated and developed downtown area. A lot of really cool vibes down there. And so from like waterfront historic living in tree-lined neighborhoods to condo living, luxury townhouses, those kind of things, everything's available in St. Pete, and St. Pete really has something to offer everybody who's looking to live here. And speaking of homes, if you're trying to get a ballpark range of what it might cost to live in St. Petersburg, right now our median house costs about $475,000. Now that's median. You can definitely find homes in the million plus category or the multi-millions, depending on what you're looking for. You also have some options that are less expensive, maybe in the 2s or 300s, depending on where you want to be or if you don't mind living in a condo. So there truly is something for everybody, but the median is $475 as of the most recent update that we got. And not only is it a diverse city when it comes to living, but it's also a diverse city when it comes to lifestyle. And there truly is something for everybody. So whether you're someone who likes nightlife and downtown is for you, or if you're someone who likes getting out in nature and you want to go kayak out of Weeden Island State Park or take a drive over to St. Pete Beach or anything else, there's definitely something here for you in St. Petersburg. One of my personal favorite things about living in St. Pete is I'm real big on museums. I love spending an afternoon in a museum. And we have some of the most museums per capita in the state here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Back to the map here, you can see St. Pete's not too large, but it is primarily car dependent. That's something you'll want to keep in mind if you're thinking about moving to St. Petersburg, with the exception of if you live in this downtown St. Pete area. Downtown St. Pete, they've done a really good job of emphasizing walkability. So a lot of people will own a condo or a home somewhere in or near downtown and then walk to 4th or walk to Publix over here, walk to Central or walk to Beach Drive or the pier, which is all along here, and grab food, go grocery shopping, do whatever, and then maybe they have one car that they use if they ever want to get out of the city. So, but outside of downtown St. Petersburg, you are going to want a car to get around. There are some roads that make it easy to commute. So right here you can see 275, which heads north. This is really convenient because it can take you very quickly up north or, pretty much anywhere in the peninsula. So if you're popping from downtown, you can hop right on 275, go up and make your way over to Tampa, or if you're trying to cut over here, you can just pop off at 275. Sorry, all the pop-ups keep happening. But another one to keep in mind here is US 19. US 19 runs north through our peninsula, pretty much all the way through Pinellas County. So this road is definitely a good one to know and to utilize for anyone looking to move to our area. So that's St. Pete. Let's move a little bit west and talk about Pinellas Park now. All right, so back to the map here. I've now highlighted Pinellas Park, and you can see it butts right up to St. Petersburg and is smack dab in the middle of this peninsula where, Pinellas County is, hence the name named Pinellas Park. So Pinellas Park is really known for its centralized location, being very close to everything that's around it, while simultaneously maintaining some of its affordability. So it's definitely a really good option for people who want the St. Pete or the Florida lifestyle, but don't want to break the bank with an extremely expensive home close to downtown St. Pete, for example. Residents here are always about 15 minutes away from pretty much anything. So you can hop on 275 or 19, head south, make it to downtown St. Pete in 15, maybe 20 minutes depending on traffic. Same thing if you head west, getting over to Clearwater or any of the beaches. And same thing if you want to pop over to Tampa or go to TPA. If you have an early flight and you're leaving from Pinellas Park and you want to go to the Tampa airport, it's maybe 25 minutes, just right over the bridge. As long as you're not going during peak rush hour traffic, that is, which I would avoid the bridges at all costs if it's that time of day. But really definitely a good location, primarily a residential spot here, and just pretty much close to everything. That's the major selling point for Pinellas Park, is proximity and price. And just to give you some data to back that up, where we talked about the median house in St. Petersburg was about $475,000. In Pinellas Park, it's hovering closer to the mid threes. So that's nearly what, a 20% decrease in price for an extra 10 minutes of drive time. For some people that's worth it, for others that's not, but it's just something for you to consider when you're deciding whether or not to move to St. Petersburg or Pinellas Park. Back to the map here too, you can see, like I said, it's very close proximity to 275 as well as that US 19 road that we talked about before. And another thing you'll notice, and honestly this is going to be true for every city we talk about in Pinellas County because it's a big part of the, I guess you would say, the culture here or the vibe of living in this county. But true for Pinellas Park equally is there are a ton of parks. There's just a lot of spots for you to get outside, enjoy nature, even if you don't want to make the 10-15 minute drive to the beaches or, you know, over here into Weeden Island Preserve, which is one of my personal favorites, by the way. I love launching my kayak out of Weeden Island Preserve. The only downside is you can't bring your dog. So that's a thing. Or well, you can, but you're not supposed to. So, but in Pinellas Park, definitely a lot of parks. There's restaurants, close proximity to everything else. Just a really good, comfortable place to live here in Pinellas County. All right, that's Pinellas Park. Now let's head north and talk about Clearwater, Florida, which odds are if you're looking in this area, you've heard the name Clearwater before. It's one of the other most famous cities in our county, other than St. Petersburg, and definitely is worth the hype. Clearwater is famous for having a very cute downtown area, but more so it's famous for having some of the best beaches in the entire country. I'm not kidding. You can look up any, just run a search on whatever your preferred, search platform is and say best beaches in the US, read the top 3 articles, and Clearwater Beach is either going to be ranked 1, 2, or 3 on almost all of those articles. They are some of the most beautiful white sand beaches you'll ever see, with gorgeous aquamarine water, plenty of shells, plenty of wildlife, and just plenty of beach too. This is the thing, is the beaches here go for miles and miles and miles. There's no shortage of space for you to roam and take in the sunshine. You can see on the map here just how much of Clearwater is on the water or has access to the beaches. Another highlight here that was popping up here a second ago is the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, which is an awesome world-class aquarium. The other personal favorite here is across the bridge in Tampa, maybe like a 30-minute drive, but the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, definitely something you would want to check out if you're in this area. But there's really no shortage of things to do in Clearwater as well, even outside of all the beautiful natural things that you can do, like spending time at the beach or kayaking or riding your bike or going for a run. Because Clearwater, like a lot of the other cities here, is a tourist destination, there are plenty of activities for you to engage in, no matter what your preference is. Around here is downtown Clearwater, and downtown Clearwater really thrives as kind of like the urban core or the heart of the city. It's kind of the center for business and government, and as an attractive place to live, work, shop, and play. When it comes to housing, Clearwater is very similar to St. Pete in that there's a variety of options for you. So whether you're looking for a single family residence, a condo on the water, or a cute little townhouse, there's something for everybody. The median price in Clearwater matches St. Pete at about $475,000. But just a reminder, that's median. There's options above that. You can find multi-million dollar homes here. You can also find $200,000 condos. So there's something for everybody. If you have more questions about where you should be looking for the budget that you're looking in, please feel free to reach out to my team at the information below, and we would love to help. But Clearwater is definitely an amazing place with a ton of options, a really cute scene, and plenty of access to beaches. If Clearwater is beaches, beaches, beaches. If you are considering moving to Clearwater, let me just rapid fire give you a couple of neighborhoods or areas to consider looking into, and a brief description of each to help you kind of hone in on what you're looking for. The first is Clearwater Beach. Here you're going to find condos, apartments, townhomes, pretty much anything that you want, but this area specifically, as the name implies, is beachfront living, beach style living. Often there's going to be flood zones, or you might be in a condo building where the association fee covers flood insurance, but something for you to be aware of. You will be much closer to the water, but you will have to pay a premium when it comes to things like flood insurance or condo dues. The second one we kind of already talked about, but that's downtown Clearwater. Here mostly you're going to find single family homes, but you're really close proximity to everything if you live in the downtown area. And one of my personal favorites is Coachman Park, which which you would be very close to. But again, just kind of centrally located single family homes, easy drive to the beach, easy drive to major roads to take you to downtown St. Peter, Tampa. If you're 55 and up, Clearwater also has a lot of great options for you. One of my personal favorites is Imperial Cove. This is a 55 and up gated community with villas and townhouses with waterfront views, plenty of amenities, really kind of resort style living. And then I think probably my personal favorite, Bel Air Bluffs, which is just a luxurious neighborhood full of gorgeous single family homes, right on the water, easy access to everything, but definitely come with a higher price tag because it's so well located and because the homes there are so much more luxurious than the average home in Clearwater. Bel Air Bluffs also kind of has this quiet, laid back lifestyle, perfect for people who want to just kind of like bask in beachside luxury and, you know, go fishing off of their dock in the back and then, you know, do a short drive to a diner or something. That's kind of what Bel Air Bluffs is for. So overall, living in Clearwater is great. It gives you the feel of kind of a small beach town, but without lacking in any of the amenities, but you also don't feel like you have any sort of like big city madness if you're living in Clearwater. Now that we've done Clearwater and we've done Pinellas Park, let's talk about Largo, which is kind of situated between the both of those. You can see it here on the map outlined just to the south of Clearwater and just to the north of Pinellas Park. And Largo really offers kind of like a suburban atmosphere with a ton of parks, community events, that kind of thing. Also, just like everywhere else around here that we're going to talk about, close proximity for everything else. You can see on the map here, Largo is not that far from Clearwater beaches, not that far from downtown St. Pete, and not that far from any of these major roads that we talked about that would take you over to Tampa if you were trying to make a day trip. Largo is actually the 4th largest city in the Tampa Bay area, and it offers a really high quality of life with kind of a centralized location and a lot of affordable living options. Back to the map here, you'll see a lot of these green spaces. Largo really values its nature, as does everywhere else in Pinellas County, but there are a ton of options in Largo. Like, you really can't go more than a few minutes without coming across some sort of gorgeous park or nature preserve. There's a lot of valued green spaces, and the community here is really engaged and active. There's also a lot of really safe and attractive streets, and all of these things contribute to Largo being a very desirable place to live. The city's park system here, I mean, you can see all of this green. It's made up of almost 500 acres of green space. There's 20 parks, 11 miles of walking trails, and a plethora of opportunities for you to canoe, kayak, ride your bike, rollerblade, whatever your personal preference is to get outside, there's something for you here in Largo. Largo, just like anywhere else here, is gonna have a vast variety of different housing options. So all of the same things I've listed before, single family, condos, townhouses, with the median price point here being more comparable to Pinellas Park than it is to St. Peter Clearwater, hovering somewhere in the low to mid 3s, but of course you can find more options than that. Another cool thing about Largo is its proximity to the beaches without needing to be in a flood zone. So it's something that a lot of people definitely really enjoy. And another thing I probably should have mentioned earlier, but is definitely applicable to Largo as well as all the other cities in Pinellas County, is Pinellas County has pretty good schools, and definitely families are initially assigned to a specific school, but Pinellas County has a school choice program. And that school choice here in Pinellas County allows parents to apply to have their kids go to a specific magnet school, fundamental school, or career-focused program. And another thing to say about Largo is, similar to Pinellas Park, you are right smack dab in the middle of the peninsula, meaning you are close to everything. You are a short drive west to go to Clearwater, you are a short drive east to go to Tampa, you are a short drive south to go to downtown St. Pete, and so you really have the best of all of the worlds here in Largo, Florida. So that was Largo, just to the south of Clearwater. Now let's go to the north of Clearwater and talk about one of my personal favorite cities here, Dunedin. So here on the map you can see where I've highlighted Dunedin. It is up here to the north, and it includes this region as well as Honeymoon Island State Park, one of my personal favorite beaches and state parks here in the area. Definitely worth a trip to go out there. It is the most picturesque, beautiful tropical oasis that I've ever personally been to, and this is coming from someone who's lived in Florida their entire life. Dunedin is a quiet, slower pace of living, perfect for retirees or people who want a calmer pace of life with close access to beaches, you know, a lot of mature trees, a slower lifestyle, but still being a close drive to some of the bigger city amenities if you want to go into Clearwater or downtown St. Petersburg. Also in Dunedin, there's something called the Pinellas Trail here, which is miles and miles and miles of beautiful bike paths. And some of the most gorgeous sections, in my opinion, are through Dunedin. One of my personal favorite things to do on a lazy Saturday is to grab my girlfriend, make the drive up from where we live in St. Petersburg. So it's maybe 20, 25 minutes. We'll rent a couple of e-bikes, bike the Pinellas Trail, come back, grab an ice cream, and head home. And it is just so beautiful there. It's so still and quiet there, so quaint and artsy. So we just kind of ride our bikes, enjoy the nature, enjoy the vibes, and then come back to St. Petersburg. The city really has a thriving arts community, plenty of nature lovers and is, I think, a little bit more community centric just because it has a little bit of that smaller town feel than some of these other cities. It's just easier to know more people if you're out and about and you live in Dunedin. And while you may think that being a smaller, more quaint city here in Pinellas County, it may come with a lower price tag, that's not actually true. Dunedin comes in with a median home price around $460,000, so pretty comparable to Clearwater or St. Petersburg. There's a lot of single family residences here. It's primarily single family, but of course there's still some condos and townhouses that you can find. And there's just less housing here because it's a smaller city. It is a little bit more quaint, maybe a little bit of larger lots. So 460,000 ballpark in Dunedin. Definitely there's options for more or less than that, but just a really beautiful, quaint place to live. I think that's like the 8th time I've said quaint in comparison to somewhere like downtown St. Petersburg. And Dunedin, just like a lot of these other cities in Pinellas County, is primarily car dependent, but there is something in the downtown region called the Jolly Trolley. It's a really charming mode of transportation to get around some of the beach and coastal routes, and it definitely makes it convenient to get around if you're staying in that region, or sometimes it's just a fun thing to do to take in the vibes. Overall, Dunedin is an amazing place to live for people who want to enjoy nature, enjoy good vibes, a slower pace of living while still having easy access to big city amenities within short driving distance. All right, now that we've talked about Dunedin, let's go all the way to the north of Pinellas County and talk about Tarpon Springs. So here on the map, you can see where Tarpon Springs is. I'll zoom out to give you some context. So it is definitely all the way at the northern end of our county, but it's still an amazing place to live with a lot of the same benefits of some of the other areas that we've talked about, but maybe just a little bit farther. Once you start getting into Tarpon Springs, we won't talk as much about being in close proximity to downtown St. Petersburg. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. For me, when I think about like a 20-minute drive, I think that's nothing. But once you start getting into Tarpon Springs, if you're trying to get to downtown St. Petersburg or you're trying to get to Tampa, the drives start becoming 45 minutes or an hour or something along those lines. But still an amazing place to live, and it has its own unique character and benefits, which we're going to go over now. Tarpon Springs is known as the sponge capital of the world, with the sponge docks being one of the major tourist draws in Tarpon Springs. It's definitely a very cool activity to go out and harvest your own sponges. Just like everywhere else in Pinellas County, plenty of access to beaches, public parks, a lot of kind of active artsy things here as well. I don't know what it is about Pinellas County and emphasizing the arts. Maybe it's because we spend so much time in nature, but Tarpon Springs is no different. Zooming in on the map here, you can see all of these different park options and water options, and people in Tarpon Springs really take advantage of this. I don't know if, I mean, this is just anecdotal, but people in Tarpon Springs love to fish. Everyone I talk to in Tarpon Springs is either going fishing or coming back from fishing. Maybe not everybody, but that is one of the benefits here. You can see how much water access there truly is in Tarpon Springs. But there is also a really beautiful downtown area in Tarpon Springs that offers, you know, kind of a mix of restaurants, shops, and attractions, including the Tarpon Springs Distillery, which was a sponge warehouse turned into, you know, we'll call it a neighborhood watering hole. On the topic of real estate in Tarpon Springs, just like everywhere else here, variety of options, you've heard me say it, but here it's interesting because you have, you know, inland options, you have options with Gulf access, but you also have options that have water access from a lot of the inlets that make up the middle of Tarpon Springs. When it comes to the median price point in Tarpon Springs, you're looking at low fours, maybe $4.25, $4.40, something like that. But again, that's median. There's more or less expensive options depending on what you're looking for. And I would say overall, even though there is a variety of housing options in Tarpon Springs, probably the most predominant is single family residences. Overall, Tarpon Springs is an amazing place to live. If you value proximity to water, you know, having a nice house with a nice yard, and you don't mind being, you know, an extra 20 minutes, maybe 45 minutes total from St. Petersburg in comparison to some of these places like Largo, for instance. So whether you're drawn to urban energy or serene beach towns, there's definitely something for everybody here, no matter the lifestyle you're trying to build. If you have questions about what specific areas or neighborhoods you may be considering, depending on what price point you're looking at, my team and I would love to help. Please reach out to us at the information below. Make sure you like this video and subscribe for future content, and comment below some feedback on these videos. We highly value your feedback, and I would love to know what other topics you would like us to cover in the future. Our goal in these videos is to provide value to you in your journey of considering moving to our area, and then help you when the time comes. So we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.